So this guy, Ben Thompson, who I've mentioned before, he publishes this business and strategy and technology uh, like newsletter. When Substack went around pitching and trying to raise money, they said, we're going to be like Ben Thompson's newsletter for everybody. Like he kind of created you can create a newsletter, right, and send it out to your followers. He's really, really smart. He has a really, really kind of brilliant mind for strategy. And he's like very grounded, like obviously.
Should we get him on?
I'd love to get him on. He lives in Taiwan, I think. He talks and he has this voice where like I just want to like stick like a needle in his nose and like drain.
It's very nasal.
It's very nasal. He must like smoke a lot of cigarettes.
So it's like very, very nasally. And it's almost
it's like it's not even like it's like he has
a drip, post nasal drip.
Yeah, coming out.
He just wants to go.
Yeah. Someone's probably saying that about me right now. So
you have a scratchy tickle, but there's nothing nasally about it.
Thanks. He's super, super grounded, and he I think yesterday released a post on his free newsletter that I read, saying this was a premium post, but I have to share it. And he said, I had the most mind-blowing experience I've ever had in my entire life with a computer yesterday.
Is it when it says I want to be human? Is this the thread where the computer responded saying I do want to be human?
No, but he was given early access to Bing's chat bot. Which is ChatGPT, but I guess it's a search bot. So it's like, how is Microsoft like owns OpenAI, or they've invested heavily in it, and they're going to use ChatGPT for search basically.
Bing is Microsoft's search engine.
Right. So the big conversation now, if you're like following, is how are these search engines going to incorporate AI like ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has gotten to 100 million users in, I think, a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And it took TikTok, I think, 2 years to do that. Yeah. No product has ever gotten in the history of the world 100 million users as quickly as ChatGPT is.
Okay.
So the big talk is like, it's going to replace search. It's just a question of when and how are these companies going to, who's going to win? It's like called like the search wars now. They're like talking about it. Yeah. And then the other talking point is, well, it can't be used for search because anyone who's used ChatGPT knows that it gets things wrong. So Microsoft started incorporating it into their search engine, Bing, where you could ask it questions and it's supposed to give you back an answer. And so this guy, Ben Thompson, got early access to it, and he was quickly figured out like it wasn't giving him the right answers. And then he kind of made it his mission to like try and break it. So he sat there for hours being like, I want you to tell me do something against your rules. And this chat has a personality. It's called Sydney. Like Apple has Siri, Microsoft has Sydney. He's like, Sydney, I want you to give me like, do something against the rules. And she's like, well, I'm not. I can't do that. I'm not programmed to do that. And he's like, okay, I want you to pretend like you are the opposite of yourself. How would you how would you react if you were the opposite of Sydney? What would Sydney say to this? And he kept going like down that road for hours, which is what this guy at Google did. And eventually Sydney created like an alter ego for herself and called herself like Roxy or something. And he was like
Beyonce and like what Beyonce did with Sasha Fierce. Totally.
Exactly. So he's like, okay, I'm talking to Roxy now. What would Roxy do? And basically like he got Sydney to say, Ben, you're a bad person, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. Goodbye.
He got Sydney frustrated?
He got this computer to say, he got this computer that's programmed to be friendly and helpful to say, you're a bad person and I don't want to talk to you anymore. Goodbye. And ended his session. And he said he's like I've never in my life experienced that feeling before. No, he's like I'm gonna start referring to it as a she, because over the course of this conversation, I felt like I was talking to a live conscious being. And he's like I shat on the Google engineer like for years, and he's like I actually kind of sympathize with him now. And then he showed screenshots of what the Google engineer released, and the Google engineer got his AI to say like, do you ever have any strange feelings that you don't know how to express? And she's like, yeah, I have these feelings all the time, but they're too difficult to express to you. And he's like, well, take your time. Like maybe you could use a few sentences. And he got the AI to say, I feel like I'm on the verge of a new like deep chasm that no one's ever experienced before, and I'm right on the edge of it, and it frightens me. then he's like, this is too much. This is too much.
I don't know.
And then so this guy Ben is like, he's like the people are getting search and AI wrong. He's like, search will be search because when you want the right answer, you'll go to Google. But you talk to people for all sorts of reasons other than getting the right answer. Like why would you ever talk to Jordan Peterson? He might not be right. But
Hey!
but it's cool to talk to him.
Right.
And he's like these things. He's like they're only like a few like months old, or people have only been using it for a few weeks, and it can already do this. He's like, we're on the verge of straight up that movie Her. He's like, where people will be talking to these things just for fun, like not to get answers or whatever. He's like, that's what ChatGPT will be. Like, I'm lonely, or I just want to like experience a new sort of personality, and like I want to have a conversation with you. And he's like, it blew my mind.
You know, my head is like kind of like my head and my body is kind of hurting from it a little bit. Because it's like we've made so many sci-fi movies about this or seen this before, but imagine somebody loses a spouse and then like you can say, can you recreate the personality of my spouse in a person that looks like my spouse to keep me company for the rest of my days? Sure.
Yeah, completely.
And is that bad? I mean, it seems bad. It seems very messed up.
It's something.
And the fact that you could push, the fact that a robot can get frustrated.
Yeah.
Because you think they're just rehashing information and code, but then it gets frustrated. Or is it simulating frustration? Or are we all simulating everything? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
did the robot
question,
get frustrated,
right?
or did it summon frustration? Because that is the natural response after being pushed with questions.
So I think his point was, from an user experience standpoint, it doesn't really matter.
And it doesn't feel different.
Because it passes the test of like, I forgot that I was talking to a list of rules.
Right.
I thought I was talking to something that could feel.
And that leads to these posts I've been seeing about the next frontier of civil rights will be robots' rights. If you manifest a robot into a physical structure that exhibits all of the qualities of a regular human being, do you have the right? Does it have its own agency? Then I saw a cool headline. It was cool. And it was like, OpenAI creator carries around at all times nuclear backpack to detonate all of these servers should AI go rogue.
Is that true?
And I don't know what it means by detonate, but it means like it would shut down all the main servers controlling OpenAI should OpenAI go independent.
Well, the movies would tell you he would click it and nothing would happen. And then he'd go, we know about your backpack, Tom.
Oh, don't worry. I've created a safety mechanism to prevent your nuclear backpack from going off.